trying to hook it deep. I think what they're trying to do, and I think what Kevin Butler is trying to do and has been told to do, keep it away from Ron Brown if you can. Ron Brown makes a habit of returning kickoffs for touchdowns. Right now, Payton is up on his feet. They were looking at his right toe, and the word we received from the bench is they did not know whether he would be returning or not.
Looks like he's ready. Meanwhile, Brown and White to receive again, and they have moved up to the 15-yard line.
You remember Ron Brown and his speed from the '84 Olympics, Al. I'm sure of that.
Gold medal in the 4x100 relay and finished 4th in the 100-meter final. And here he is from the 11 to the 20, 30, and to the 35-yard line. From there, the Rams begin this drive. 5:29 to play in the third period. Coming up Saturday, a pair of games for you. Most of you will see Miami top-ranked against Pittsburgh, or Cincinnati taking on 9th-ranked Auburn. The other game, check your local listings. CFA football at 3 Eastern time. Coverage commencing on Saturday. 1st and 10, Los Angeles at the 35. Dickerson behind Redden. Out of bounds after a gain of 4. Mike Richardson will get credit for the tackle.
But again, the Bears do what they want to do, and that is stretch it out. When Dickerson is really dangerous, and he does it as good as anyone in the league, and that is when he cuts back against the grain. And when he does that, he can pop for big ones.
We'll be in Cleveland next Monday.
Marino and Bernie Kosar.
Yep.
A couple of young quarterbacks, one of them already rewriting the record book, and another one has a good shot at it down the line.
2nd and 7 from the 38-yard line. Redden, minimal gain. It'll be 3rd down and 5. 5:15 to play. Third quarter.
That's called giving Dickerson a little bit of a breather, and let's make sure that they're at least thinking halfway honestly, and they're not going to be totally in pursuit.
Steve Dills is 1 out of 12. That one was the little swing on his first throw of the night, which Dickerson took for 26 yards. And that's been that. He's had a few drop, and he's misfired on several others. That one is there, but picked off at the 42 by Fensick. And the Bears have it in Ram territory at the 35. And that ties the Chicago record. Richie Pettibone and Gary Fensick, each with 37 career interceptions.
And Dills should have been 1 for 13 because Fensick was in double coverage. It was so obvious. Dills was looking at it all the way. Still had time to pick an alternate receiver, trying to get it to Michael Young. Threw it into the crowd. Fensick comes away with it. And it could have been just as easily as not Sean Gale who picked it off. But the Bears get the turnover. They're inside the Rams' 35-yard line.
And Payton is still not back in the game. Tom Zach, the quarterback. From the 35, and the man taking over for Payton is Sanders inside the 20, and Sanders is in there.
3 carries, 2 touchdowns. Sanders had a 75-yard touchdown run against Cincinnati. He just got tremendous blocking out in front of him and then put the speed on down the sidelines, but the execution was at the line of scrimmage. Thayer was out there. Van Horn got a good block back, and the Bears have the lead again.
If you didn't know better, you'd swear it was Payton in somebody else's uniform. Butler with Fuller holding. High snap, but he gets it down. And the kick is good.
Well, the snappers on the punting and field goal unit for the Bears are putting a thrill back in it. Here it is again. Both guards coming, Ports and Thayer. And Van Horn over the right side with a good block back. Springs Sanders down the sidelines, and he just uses his quickness to take it in for the touchdown. The Bears are on top 17-10.
The beauty of Zenith's 40-inch projection TV is more than screen deep. Because after you show it on, you can show it off. Zenith. Quality.
Come ride with me and I'll take you where you never been before. Ride with me and I'll show you that there's really so much more. There's a place you'll never know. Come on down, don't miss the show. Ride with me and I'll show you America.
On a Honda ATV, the end of the road is just the beginning.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Go ahead, pile it on.
It's the heart of a pizza.
Pile on some more.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Keep it on frozen pizza.
Try adding some extra.
The more cheese, the better the pizza.
Cheese, mountains of cheese, oodles of cheese. Glorious cheese.
There's only one way to appreciate Zenith's 27-inch stereo television with breathtaking sound by Bose. Go hear it. Zenith and Bose. Quality.
So thanks to the defense and the special teams, this one has turned out to be an explosive one. 17-10 Chicago in the third period as Butler kicks off for the Bears. 4:23 left in the third.
And 3-0 Bears going into this third quarter.
Brown backs up from the 1 to the 20. First and 10 Rams. Neil Anderson, the running back, in on special teams, makes the tackle.
Word is on Walter Payton that he has gone into the locker room. They will x-ray his right foot, looking at the right toe, right big toe. And you might be able to play in the middle of the line, or some parts of football, you think immediately of an offensive lineman, but if you're a running back and you're cutting and twisting and turning, you need that right big toe.
First and 10 LA from the 21-yard line. Dickerson, gain of 5. Otis Wilson, who's been pretty quiet tonight in terms of getting a call, in on that play.
Our telecast tonight, presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited.
Second and 6 from the 25. Eric again for a first down, and a flag is down as he bowls over Marshall. Red Cashin says holding, Rams.
Oh, that's smarts. They had the first down, and it just takes the momentum away and the emotion.
John Robinson.
Holding, number 60 on the offense. Still second down.
Dennis Harrah, you'll see it over the right side. Great blocking guard. I don't think there's any question as he almost strangles McMichael. Well, look at it this way. He did make a big hole.
Second and 16. Kevin House is in the game, and they split him to the left. And Dills looks to the right and throws a bad pass for Ellard. And a fight breaks out. Perry and Dennis Harrah. I'd pay to see that, baby.
Perry about 315 and Harrah about 265. Football players seldom hurt each other.
Unnecessary roughness, number 72.
And only Perry gets penalized.
Well, they usually see the second man who gets into it. They seldom see the first one. And Perry is explaining exactly what was going on the part of Dennis Hara. He will get no sympathy. Now he's telling Gary Finsick, who's trying to quiet him down. That was a big turnaround penalty because the Rams had their own holding penalty, and that just totally nullified that, and the Bears had them deep in their own territory.
Big penalty because it gives L.A. a first down at the 30. 3:03 to go in the period. It's Grumman in motion, and Redden carrying the ball, and Perry makes the tackle.
Maybe John Robinson is working on the clock. Al, you recall he said we want to be close as we go into the fourth quarter.
He was more than close. He had a 7-point lead. But now it's Chicago by 7.
He does believe that, too, about his team. He feels they do get better. He feels that his great running back, Eric Dickerson, gets better the more times he carries the football and the longer the game goes on.
2nd and 6. Dickerson wrapped up at the 34-yard line, and again it's Perry.
They should have left Perry alone.
You betcha.
Somebody opened the refrigerator's door and the light came on. He's something. He comes right from the middle of the line. He's lined up over Newberry, gets away from Newberry, just hammers Doug Smith, the center, in the face and gets out and makes the stop. That's what they expect he's going to be doing consistently when he grows up. He's a great athlete, as big as he is. He's so quick, can stuff a basketball. Just an amazing young man.
3rd and 6 from the 35. Bears lead by 7. Blitz going deep.
Whoa.
Pass is there. Brown. And he sprints in for the touchdown as the Bears paid the price.
What we said earlier, when Dills missed him in the first quarter against the Bears, you just have to keep trying to do it. You're going to get sacked. You're going to get your quarterback maybe beat up a little bit, but sooner or later, if you can stay with it and catch him in the right defense, get the isolation, get the speed individually lined up, and you make the connection, you get a quick 6 points, and that's exactly what they did. They were dealing up front. They were bringing the outside linebacker on the left. Dills read it all the way, got the single coverage. It was Gale trying to run with Ron Brown, the Olympic gold medalist in the 4x 100. Forget it, no chance whatsoever. Dills had that earlier in the game and just overthrew it.
Longest play from scrimmage for the Rams this season. 65-yard touchdown, Lansford for the extra point. Dills holding. And we are even with 1:28 to go in a wild third quarter.
I wonder if that's close, as John Robinson would put it.
So the Rams in Chicago. It was 3-0 Bears at the half. And a couple of key turnovers and big plays here in the third period, and it's 17-17.
You saw Durison. He was on the blitz. That gave the coverage to Ron Brown individually on Gale. And he tried to get some help back there, but I'm sure he was single covered. And it was a good read by Dills, but also credit that offensive line. Dennis Harrod, Jackie Slater over the right side. They had to make the key blocks to give the right-handed Dills the opportunity to get it off. That's what the Bears count on, getting the pressure, getting to you before you can get to the deep man.
The Rams this season in their 8 prior games had scored a grand total of 19 points in the third period. And tonight, they've almost matched that figure, 17. Dills, he's completed his first pass and his last pass.
That's remarkable, isn't it? 2 of 15. And he has the Rams tied at 17. Two great defenses, a couple of fine running backs, and all of a sudden we get the big bomb from the unlikely quarterback Steve Dills to a very likely speedy Ron Brown.
So Soldier Field is quiet again.
You called it. famous 4x100 at the Coliseum, if I remember right. Well, in '84 in the Olympics, Ron Brown.
And of course, he was overshadowed because everybody was overshadowed amongst the sprinters because of Carl Lewis.
He's really never had a training camp. He was in the Olympics in '84, and he was injured much of last season, and this was his first year in training camp, and he did not play that much at Arizona State.
And he played a lot of defensive back there as well. From the 9, it's Dennis Gentry to the 28-yard line. So he was a defensive back for a good part of his college career, and as you say, no training camp action until this year. And Dills read it right and hit him. And now Tomczak leading the Bears out again with Payton getting x-rayed. And Sanders, by the way, this season has carried the ball 9 times and scored 4 touchdowns. And that ain't a bad batting average, folks.
Certainly right up there with a good average.
Sanders and Thomas are the running backs on first down from the 28-yard line, and Tomczak under pressure throws a screen, and it's dropped at the 22. Well, Sanders isn't perfect.
That's the play the Bears have been using so successfully tonight to Walter Payton. But again, Payton is in the locker room, x-rays on his right big toe. Tomczak looking over to the bench where he is getting the plays signaled in by offensive coordinator Eddie Hughes, who works in concert with Mike Ditka in calling the plays for the Bears.
2nd and 10, Chicago at the 28. Calvin Thomas gets 5 to the 33. 3rd and 5.
Tomczak wasn't drafted. The Bears got him as a free agent as Thomas moves out of the lineup. But earlier this year, when McMahon was hurt for the first time, it was Tomczak that Mike Ditka elected to start in his place. He made a start against the Eagles, also against the Green Bay Packers. Bears won both of those games. Not too much of it credited, however, to Tomczak.
In the Green Bay game, in fact, it was Fuller who came on to bail him out. And Tomczak throws, and paying the price at the 40-yard line is Neil Anderson, but he does get the first down, and the crowd appreciates it. Nice hand for the #1 draft choice.
And I mentioned earlier that Anderson was a good all-around football player down at the University of Florida. Had 25 receptions as a senior and over 3,200 yards rushing. And that will bring us down to the end of the 3rd quarter, all tied up at 7. 4th quarter action still to go. John Robinson said, "We want to be close when we go into the 4th quarter." We're tied at 17. We'll return after this message from our local stations.
Tuesday after Who's the Boss? Dave takes after Matty.
Eat a little cake, drink a little champagne, dance the bunny hop. Come on, it's stuff dreams are made of.
Moonlighting at a special time.
Can we at least talk about it?
Followed by ABC News coverage of the '86 vote.
You knew that was coming, didn't you?
Tomorrow.
Tonight on Eyewitness News, it's a chilly night for the fans, but an electric one for the Bears and the Rams. We'll have the highlights, interviews, and much more after the game.
Being a senator is seeing a small businessman get a government contract. Seeing the face of an elder when you tell her she won't lose her Social Security as long as there's a breath in your body. And seeing people working because you help create jobs. It's those faces that get you through those other moments when you're dog-tired and feeling a little alone because you just cast a vote against your own party. Because it was right for Illinois.
Experience Panasonic OmniMovie. Capture the magic moments of your life.
Okay, now you're going to make me into a bank. Okay, let's do it. It looks funny. Oops, wow!
With Panasonic OmniMovie, the camcorder that uses standard VHS tapes and plays them back on your TV.
Wow!
Capturing life's magic moments. Another Panasonic experience, just slightly ahead of our time.
Complete election coverage Tuesday on Eyewitness News.
Okay.
Been around.
Well, Marv Levy is the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. In case you have not heard, Hank Bullock was fired today. And Levy, former head coach at Kansas City, and he's been up in Canada, is the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Meanwhile, we start in the fourth quarter. Chicago at the 40-yard line. And it's Thomas Sanders taking it out to the 42 for a gain of 2. Game tied 17-17.
31 points in the third quarter. And two very offensive-minded football teams. Most of their offense, previous games, coming from their defense. Mike Singletary back in action tonight after missing last week, the first game in his 6-year career that he ever missed with a pulled groin muscle.
2nd and 8, Chicago from the 42. Moorhead in motion. Tomczak to throw off the play fake. Deep and dropped at the 14 by Ortego.
Just a little more on it. Ortego had beaten his man, Jerry Gray. Tomczak just didn't have enough to get it to him. Little bumping and colliding down deep. Let's take a look at Ortego. Started the last 6 games. Puts on the fly against Jerry Gray. And right here he has to come back and play the ball. And Gray
could
have called that very easily. Official behind it. Gray had his arm wrapped around Ortego. Pulled him off his feet, as a matter of fact. But no flag.
3rd and 9 from the 42. Tomczak throws as he was hit, and it's incomplete. And Sean Miller put the pressure on him. That type of play, by the way, if you're wondering, is not eligible for review. Not a pass interference. You know what was funny? I'm looking around Soldier Field. There's no replay board here. They didn't replay that play because they don't have the system or the capability of showing it. But I guess there are enough people. There are enough people with television sets in the stands that they clustered around. And as soon as we showed the replay, everybody was booing.
Well, they might have the radios.
Right, right. High snap again, but he gets it away, and it's a bad kick by Buford that bounces toward the 30 and drops dead right there. 28-yard punt.
Kicking game a little strange tonight. I heard it on my radio.
Yeah, what did that kind of interference sound like?
Marcel was talking to me.
We're not a company, but outstanding people come to us every day. People who want to make a contribution to a team and do work that really counts. People eager to see new places, do the unusual, and find the unusual. People who become your friends for life. People just like you. We're not a company. We're your country. We're the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Those of you with small children or grandchildren, forget about the toys, teddy bears, and tricycles. Let's talk about things to come. Doctors, lawyers, teachers. Your child's future begins with education, and education begins with funding. E.F. Hutton has many ways to help you prepare for the future and the funding. It's never too soon to start, so why wait? Start now. I have E.F. Hutton because it's my money.
Road Atlanta. The Nissan Zs are back to defend their SCCA championship. But this year they didn't just win, they dominated. Paul Newman and Jim Fitzgerald 1-2 once again in their 300CXs in the top GT1 class. Scott Sharp leads the Z Parade in a 1-5 finish in the GT2. In all, 2 national championships, 8 top 3 finishes. Drive a 300CX yourself. Know what being first is. The winner is 300CX. The name is Nissan.
Heisman candidate Vinny Testaverde leads the #1 team, the undefeated Miami Hurricanes, against Pittsburgh, plus more. Coverage begins with College Football Today, Saturday.
The age of the watchman, I suppose, isn't it?
Looks like the one you had last last Monday.
Yeah. Everybody watching their own replays. That was the loudest response to what you would figure was a non-visual replay ever. But enough of those things around. Rams take over at their own 30-yard line. 1st and 10. Gilman in motion. Dickerson picks up 2. 2nd down and 8.
Gooman is playing a lot tonight because of an injury to Tony Hunter. He's not playing at all tonight because of a stress fracture of his leg. As we looked at the third quarter numbers, 31 points put up on the board by both clubs. Bears once again dominating in total yards, but we are tied at 17.
Each team turning it over 3 times. Rams have it at the 32-yard line. 2nd down 8. Gills into traffic and incomplete, intended for Brown, and flicked away by Richardson.
Richardson was seeing touchdown. All he had to do was hold on to it. He could have walked in. And Dill's hit him right in the hands.
Can you imagine 2 out of 16 and your team is tied 17-17?
At 91 yards. That's not a bad average for completion.
You're right. 3rd and 8 from the 32. Dickerson, and he's close to a 1st down. Fensick came up to make the stop along with Perry. See where they spot it. The crowd doesn't like where they spot it. Just over the 40, but close enough so that Red Cashin says, let me take a closer look.
Good effort, Dennis Hara, Doug Smith. Big opening. Eric just about popped that one for big numbers. Pankey also in there from the offside with a good block, number 75. And he does get the 1st down.
On a 3rd and 8.
We talk about this defensive unit of the Rams. They have a fine offensive line. Watch 75 pulling from over the left side. That's so much for Sean Gale. And it enables Dickerson to accelerate. Gale probably would not have stopped him, but it allowed Dickerson to accelerate and get the 1st down out over the 40.
Meanwhile, Dickerson has come out for the moment, and it means Charles White comes in along with Redden as splitbacks. That's White 33, and now he becomes the tailback. Dills, deep for Ellard. Too deep. Richardson covering.
Charlie White, of course, played his collegiate football under John Robinson. Is a great story. Heisman Award winner. The word is on Dickerson, he has cracked the goggles that he wears, and we assume he'll be back in. As a matter of fact, he's coming in right now. Charlie White played 5 years at Cleveland, released. Johnny Robinson picked him up last year, and when Dickerson was a holdout, he had a couple of good games filling in for Eric.
Dickerson probably called Jabbar to get the spare pair. 2nd and 9. Those glasses are fogged.
He's fogged by Dent. Richard Dent, Super Bowl MVP. So quick and so strong. Different defensive team. They take a lot of pride in the fact that they are doing something different under their new defensive coordinator, Vince Tobin, who replaced Buddy Ryan. They're more disciplined. And it was Dan Hampton who said we took a lot of pride in being able to do something different. We knew what we could do last year. We did it kind of helter-skelter, but we were playing more disciplined, and we were playing it well, and we think we are improving with every game.
On 3rd and 10 from the 40, Dills scrambling, hit, and dropped at the 44-yard line as Sean Gale, the nickelback, came up to make the tackle. And thus the Rams will kick with 11 minutes and 33 seconds to play in the 4th quarter. This is a big game in particular for the Rams, of course, who will lead the NFC West no matter what, but they'll either lead by a half game over San Francisco and Atlanta, or a game and a half. As Hatcher gets it off, and Barnes fields at the 13. And Chicago will start its next drive from the 18-yard line. 11:07 Vegas-type numbers remaining in the fourth. 17-17 at Soldier Field.
To America's best as they look to Australia and the America's Cup Challenge.
Ready or not, babe?
Orion Pictures presents something different.
Wild thing, think I love you.
Oh, my gosh.
Wild thing.
Something daring.
Make my heart sing.
Something dangerous. Melanie Griffith. Jeff Daniels. Something wild. Rated R. Starts Friday, November 7th at a theater near you. Check papers for times.
That's a Nissan hardbody. It's got everything. It's his. It's got the big V6. Don't touch it. Never seen bigger tires. Don't kick them. Rides high. That's some truck. Yeah.
For power and toughness in 4x4s, the name is Nissan.
The Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino and company, are trying to turn their season around, but the Cleveland Browns are in a struggle for the top of their division. They meet next week on ABC's Monday Night Football.
First half ended 3-0 Bears, and then a wild third period with interceptions and fumble returns and runbacks and long passes, and we're tied 17-17 with 11:07 remaining in the fourth period, and the Chicago Bears have the ball at their own 18-yard line. First and 10. Again, Peyton back in the dressing room, and the Sanders carries again and takes it out to the 22-yard line. Second and 5. Tim Fox comes up to make the hit.
Sanders has a lot of speed. He really opened up the third quarter. The touchdown run, a couple of them in the first 2 out of the first 3 times he carried the football. He got it into the end zone, but it was earlier in the year, Cincinnati, when he exploded for a long touchdown run of 75 yards. Very quick, and he's very fast when he gets the open field.
Second and 5. Good protection. Tom Zach throwing goal, 43-yard line. Hit by Leroy Irvin. And the acrobatic balletic one, Willie Gault, makes the catch.
Take a look at Willie Gault now. Leroy Irvin has no choice. He has to play off Gault a little bit. Gault, like Ron Brown of the Rams, has that great speed. And now Gault is being looked at. He appears to be shaken up, but he does come out of the huddle and sprints out to the left side. But you have got to, and particularly when you're man-on-man, as Irvin was, you have got to give them plenty of room, or they'll blow right by you.
20-yard gain. That was Gault's first catch of the night. Sanders ridden down at the 50. Vince Newsom.
Again, that was almost Peyton-like. That is the Peyton sweep right. And Sanders even performed like Peyton, dipped it in to the inside, made it look like he was coming in, and then was able to take it to the outside and get the good yardage.
Texas A&M has turned out a few pretty good backs in recent times, haven't they? Just looking at Sanders out of Texas A&M, Johnny Hector.
He's having a big year for the Jets.
Suey losing 3 thanks to Doss.
Great quarterback numbers. Hills 2 of 17, 91 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Fuller 9 of 19, 102 yards, 2 interceptions. Tom Zach 2 of 5, 27 yards.
Peyton is 0 for 1, isn't he? Doesn't matter who's throwing tonight.
And not playing, not even activated, Doug Flutie, who will probably be activated before 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And Jim Everett, a great one from Purdue, just acquired recently by the Rams. They are watching.
3rd and 6 out of the shotgun, and it's dropped by Tomczak. And then he dumps it over the middle and throws a wobbly short pass incomplete. And it'll be 4th down, and in comes the punting unit. So Tomczak going out. You mentioned Flutie, Frank. Have you ever seen a game with 2 quarterbacks involved that have gotten more publicity who've never played a down of NFL football? I'm talking about Flutie and Everett.
Well, when Jim McMahon starts to talk about something, it gets a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
And he did not like the idea of Doug Flutie coming here.
Buford finally gets a nice snap and gets off a fair kick and a fair catch by Johnny Johnson at the 11-yard line. 42-yard punt. Rams at the 11. 8:09 to play, 4th quarter.
Stereo demands the real sound of America's best-selling speakers. Realistic, exclusively at Radio Shack.
You know, I've played a lot of roles as an actor, from a cop to a country singer. But in real life, I don't play roles. I do what works for me, whether it's my clothes or my credit card. And I don't carry my MasterCard for show. I carry it because it gives me all the possibilities and leaves the choosing to me. Possibilities and personal choice. That works for me. MasterCard. I choose it because I use it. MasterCard. Master the possibilities.
Nearly 80 million people have the security of health care coverage when and where they need it. They couldn't picture their lives without it. Could you?
Very creative. 18, of course, is Tomczak. Fuller is number 4, and it adds up to Flutie, and that could well be. I'll tell you what, with the quarterbacking we watched on both sides tonight, it's going to inspire a lot of young quarterbacks around this country, give them new, higher aspirations. I, too, can play this game.
So the Bears defensively now with the Rams at their own 11-yard line. 8:09 to go. Koolman in motion. Fake to Dickerson. Dills going for Ellers. And batted away at the 45-yard line by Mike Richardson. Timing his leap, getting a hand on it, 2nd and 10.
Again, fairly good protection by the offensive line, considering they're blocking the Bears. It gave Dills time to go up on top. He did not even have an optional receiver. If he did, he certainly wasn't looking for him. Richardson had played it absolutely perfectly. He was right there. And bats it away.
Second and 10. Redden out to the 17-yard line. 3rd and 4. John Robinson. It's funny, he's not by nature a real conservative kind of guy. And in fact, if you go back in his coaching past in college, he would put the ball up. Then he got to SC and kept it on the ground. And of course, he's kept it on the ground here. And if you don't know much about his background, as you look at Ditka there, you think that it reflects his personality, but it really doesn't. Chuck Scott is in as a wide receiver to the left, but only as a decoy for Dickerson as he takes it out to the 23. 1st down.
Good effort by Dickerson over the right side. And you think this game isn't rough down there. Dickerson has got more blowout patches in that jersey than you can count. The amazing thing about Dickerson is I've watched him now for the last 3.5 years is the durability of this man. I talked about that in the case of Walter Payton, but Dickerson probably gets hit every bit as hard or maybe even harder than Payton, and he is always there.
From the 23-yard line, it's Redden taking it for 2. It figures tonight with Eric Dickerson running against the Bears, it's the most yards anybody has picked up against Chicago this season, a total of 92 thus far for the Big E. Mike Rozier in the Houston game had gained 85, and that had been tops. Soldier Field, Chicago, and what's turned out to be not a bad night, all things considered, because it's been just a breeze and not a full wind. 2nd and 9. Dickerson out to the 33, and it appears to be just shy of the first down.
He's getting up close to 100 yards, but he's also carried the ball 26 times. So he has been fairly well contained tonight on a very chilly night here in Chicago.
3rd and 1. Bears over the last 3 years do not give up many 100-yard performances. In fact, this would be only the 4th since '84, counting the '84 season, 2 of them by Dickerson. Keeper.
Use your power runner.
And he should have it.
Just needed a little more than a foot. Surge of Doug Smith, the offensive center, and Newberry on the right, and Hare on the at the other guard spot. Probably carried him for the yardage.
They keep the ball right there. They didn't make it. And they didn't. And Robinson, I think, is really upset about the spot. He really is.
I thought he had carried enough, too.
I did, too.
He rode Doug Smith. Let's take a look at it.
Well, now that we look again, I think it was a pretty good spot. Hatcher. Bad kick.
And a bad bounce.
And a good break for Chicago.
Well, as we said at the very beginning, we didn't think it was going to be pretty. Just two rough, tough football teams, particularly defensively, getting it on in Chicago, and they're tied at 17. And there have been some great games played over the many, many years that these teams have met. Think of some of the great players who have performed, not only the ones we're watching tonight, but way back.
Cleveland next Monday. Browns on top with Cincinnati in the AFC Central against the Dolphins, who've won their last 2. Tom Zach gives it to the first man through. Thomas out to the 47-yard line. And the clock now down to 4.5 to play in the 4th.
Tied at 17, and inside 5 minutes, you start to think field goal. Bears have a good field goal kicker. He can reach from way out, Kevin Butler can. They've let him try field goals of 63 and last year and 55 this year. He was not good in either one, but he did have a 60-yarder when he was playing for Georgia against Clemson.
On 2nd and 6 from the 47-yard line. Sanders, nice spin move, and takes it to the 49 of the Rams. And it'll be 3rd down and 2. And as the clock winds down, each team has all of its timeouts remaining.
Sanders running well again.
Interesting here, isn't it? The Bears minus McMahon, minus Fuller at the moment. There's Jim. Fuller started, and he's out. Minus Payton. And trying to drive for the winning points. 3rd and 2. They say he was down at the 42 in the grasp, and he's down by Meisner, who gets credit for that sack at the 42-yard line.
Great effort on the part of Meisner to get there. They were giving Tom Zach an option. He either would throw the ball or run the ball, and look at Meisner. Spotted the opening, number 69, and was in on Tom Zach before he could do anything with it. He was in the grasp. Whistle had blown, and the Bears bring out the punting unit. Good call. He gave Tom Zach an option. He's a pretty good running quarterback, but it's just a great play by the Rams defense, and specifically Greg Meisner.
Buford kicking in Ellard's direction. Ellard's had a rough night. Catches this one at the 19 and brings it back to the 26. 37-yard punt, 6-yard return. Rams with all of their timeouts. 2:44 to play in the fourth, and they start at their own 27-yard line, 1st and 10. Dickerson tonight is over 100. 101, 26 carries, and 32 times he has gone over the century mark during the regular season.
They have been tough yards.
3 times against the Bears in his illustrious career. 27-yard line, Dickerson. A hard-earned 8. Now to the 35-yard line. And it'll be 2nd and 2.
Well, John Robinson said that his man keeps getting better as the game grows older. O.J. Simpson said that so frequently. You get a great running back, just keep giving it to him, keep giving it to him. He'll get better, and pretty soon he'll pop one. John Robinson believes in that.
2nd and 2. He's behind Redden. Stumbles, but stumbles forward for a first down. Out to the 38-yard line, and that will take us down to the 2-minute warning. It will be 1st and 10 for the Rams when we come back, as L.A. has it at its own 38-yard line. 2 minutes to go. Los Angeles 17, Chicago 17.
This Bud's for all that you do.
Say, landscaper, tomorrow college student. Yep. Finally took your advice, Mike.
You taught him.
Already you're smart.
Oh, you knew. They say he's a lot like you. Yeah, you make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
To a future architect. And to a brother who made it possible.
This Bud's for you.
I am losing control. I have a TV remote, a cable remote, a VCR remote. Doesn't anybody make a TV with one remote control for everything?
Sure. Magnavox. This one comes with the universal remote. It controls the Magnavox TV and just about every brand of wireless, VCR, and cable.
A Magnavox controls Sony.
And Zenith, and RCA, and Panasonic, and...
I'll take the Magnavox, and you can take these.
The universal remote. It's 3 controls in one. Nobody puts it together like Magnavox.
To those people who haven't yet said bye-bye basics, hello, Nissan Sentra, who haven't experienced the longer, wider, roomier Sentra, who haven't known the superior fit and finish of Sentra. To those people who bought basic when they could have bought a new 1987 Sentra, Nissan would like to say, relax. We've got one waiting for you. The quality and value is Sentra. The name is Nissan.
Al Michaels, Frank Effort, 4th quarter, 2 minutes to go, 17 all. Looking at a possible overtime as the Rams have it at their own 38-yard line, 1st and 10.
Talked about the kicking ability of Kevin Butler of the Bears. Mike Lansford of the Rams has a career best of 52 yards. He's done that twice for the Rams.
Goulman in motion from the 38-yard line. Inside handoff to Redden, and he is racked up. Big number 99, Dan Hampton, making the play. And the Rams elect to use a timeout. They have 2 remaining. 1983. Monday night game. That was a thriller, huh?
That was one that was very memorable. Our director, Chet Forty, recalls that memorably. He left midway through the fourth period.
What else is new?
Hills on the sidelines with the brain trust. We asked John Robinson, and he is a very candid gentleman to talk with, good sense of humor, very optimistic, very lively. And we had a great visit with him today. We asked him when we realistically might see Jim Everett, because he was very adamant about not putting him in against the Bears on Monday night, as he put it. And as Al mentioned earlier, he said the Better Business Bureau would complain if he did. But he said he'd like to kind of slide him in when they got in a comfortable position. And one would presume that that would be coming up very shortly.
He'd like to slide that man in Lansford for a possible field goal attempt if they get that close. Rams, by the way, leave after the game, but they don't go home. They're going to go to New Orleans. They play the Saints there on Sunday and practice in Louisiana this week.
A lot of trust in your players.
Yes. 2nd and 9. Dills complete at the 48 and a first down into Chicago territory as Dills hits Ron Brown. And that stops the clock. 1:42 remaining now in the fourth.
I liked it. Dickerson came over and congratulated him. Shook Dill's hand.
Thirteen-yard pickup. Ellard to the left. Brown to the right. And Dickerson on a sweep. And he swept out of bounds at the 49-yard line.
String it out, and that's what they want to do with Dickerson. Fensick was up there from his safety spot. Wilbur Marshall was out there. Dickerson is the most dangerous when he cuts it back against the grain. And by design, the Bears want to try and string that Dickerson sweep out to the sidelines if they can.
2nd and 11. Rams at the 49. Lansford, longest career field goal, 52. Longest this year, 46. On 2nd and 11. Dills escapes Hampton, but not Singletary. And it's 3rd down, and the Rams take another timeout. And it's Dent taking some extra time and getting a lift from Eric. And we thank our guys up here in the booth, George Hill, our statistician, and the mayor of Malibu, our spotter, Kelly Hayes.
Good blocking, plenty of time for Dills. His receivers just did not come open. He pulls it down, tries to get away, gets away from Singletary for a moment, but down he goes back to the original line of scrimmage where it'll be 3rd down and 10. And Jim McMahon looking on, missing his 4th game of this season. And he has missed so many of them over his career, which is now in his 5th year. But when he is in there, it is a different football team.
3 out of 19.
This will be an interesting call. 3rd down, long. Near in against the legendary pass rush of the Chicago Bears. It'll be an interesting call on the part of both clubs. Will the Bears come with a full blitz to try to pressure Dills? Or will even John Robinson let him throw the ball? Will they try to get it out in the flat to Dickerson and let Dickerson make the most of it?
3rd and 10. Goulman can't hang on. Singletary was covering on the play.
But that pass almost knocked Goulman down. What he probably should have caught, even though there wasn't much of a touch to it. Dills hit him, and hit him hard.
So now Hatcher with 1:23, and when the Bears get the ball, they have all of their timeouts.
didn't put the pressure on Dills. He fired one in there, a little too much on it, but it would have been a first down had Grumman been able to hold it.
Barnes, 14-yard line, risky catch, and a 1-yard run back to the 15. So Chicago with 3 timeouts and 1:14 after that 34-yard kick.
Wild third quarter. Now we worked away almost entirely through the fourth quarter with nothing. No scoring. And the Bears a long way from getting into Kevin Butler field goal range.
First and 10 from the 15. Tomczak firing over the middle and dropped at the 36-yard line. It's incomplete, intended for Reitman, and he was hit by Tim Fox, the 11-year veteran out of Ohio State, jarring it loose.
Tomczak had it in there. He also had good protection, plenty of time. Steps back into the pocket, finds Reitman, and Tim Fox, who has been knocking balls loose when he was a Patriot, a San Diego Charger, leveled Reitman, and he coughed it up. "11 years out of Ohio State. One of the truly tough hitters in this game and has been for a long time."
Second and 10. Sanders thrown out of bounds, and no flag at the 18-yard line. Vince Newsom was the thrower.
Kevin Butler's moon boot. They don't get nervous at all, do they?
Not when they're down at their own 18-yard line.
They live in a different world, kickers. And you can understand it. They sit there and everybody goes out and bangs themselves around. They bleed, they grunt, they groan, they swear at each other. All of a sudden they get into the most vital position of the game and you have to trot out there and do something.
Shotgun on 3rd and 8. That's Galt in motion. And Tomczak with only a 3-man rush and incomplete. And now the Bears will have to kick. And taking a shot that time was Gentry, hit by Vince Newsom.
All the time in the world for Tomczak. The Rams with just the 3 down linemen on the rush. They had the 2 nickel backs in, and they came up with the coverage, and they continue to look at Gentry. He does take quite a pop. And this game is physical. Vince Newsom, and he is physical. And they are continuing to look at Gentry. Punting unit has come on for the Bears.
Now, if you're the Rams, I send everybody. What do you do, Frank?
You send everybody.
Try to block it.
Although they will get relatively good field position. The punting at Buford has been not that spectacular tonight. So they really have an option on it. They have the best punt return man in the game for the last 3 years, at least in the National Football Conference. They have him back there, albeit he's only been around for about a week after being a holdout.
Buford standing at his 4. Good snap. Here they come, and they nearly blocked it. And the kick takes a good Chicago bounce and then goes out of bounds at the 35. And Cliff Thrift came flying in and nearly blocked the kick. 47 yards.
I think he just overran it. He had great position. Watched right in the middle. It'll be Cliff Thrift, number 52. Another former Charger like Timmy Fox. And all he had to do was go for it. He just ran right by it. He didn't know where to place the hands. I think what he also was trying to avoid was running into the kicker. When you come from the middle, it's very difficult. If you miss the ball, you're going to get that kicker. Thrift was being just a little too cautious on that.
He was also trying to avoid a larynx operation. First down, shotgun, 35. Bill sidearms it to Goulman. Goulman getting out of bounds with a first down at the 48-yard line. The Rams have one timeout remaining. And so Goulman, who was unable to hold on to a third down pass the last time the Rams had the ball, catches this one, takes it to the 48.
Seconds. And John Robinson said we want to hold him close into the fourth quarter. He didn't say anything about having it this close at the end.
Flag down. Screen to Dickerson. 45-40, and that would be a first down, but a marker at the line of scrimmage at the 48-yard line.
What a super tackle by Gary Fency. Open field, Eric Dickerson, and it looks as though it's going to work against the Bears.
Offside, number 95 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
Dent. One timeout remaining. 29 seconds. Ball at the 40. So right now you'd be looking at a 57-yard field goal.
And they don't want to look at it. Have avoided the sack. The Bears do not have a sack on the night. They have a lot of hurries, but no sacks.
Dills going deep and incomplete. Ellard was there.
It would have been a tough catch, but Dills had it there. And maybe had Ellard been around working with him, he might have been able to hold on to this. He has great hands, and obviously he has good speed. Working over there against Bestie Jackson, who made his first start tonight. Ball is there right off the fingertips. A tough catch as you look back, directly back over your shoulder, and it is difficult but catchable. I think John thought we're going to pull this one out.
Brown wide left along with Scott. Ellard wide right. Everybody in the pattern. Batted away, incomplete. Third down. Now they've got a little bit of a dilemma here. Third down and 10. They're not within field goal range. They've got one timeout remaining. And they have 18 seconds on the clock.
I think you have to think, let's get 8 or 10, let's get 12, whatever we can get. Use your timeout, bring Lansford on, and see if he can reach. His best, as we mentioned before, 52 yards. He's hit twice from 52 yards. And the Bears are all aware of all those things. They will put the pressure on.
Hansen puts the pressure on. Screen to Dickerson. Dickerson takes the ball to the 33, and they'll take a timeout here, and this will mean a 50-yard field goal. Sean Gale makes the tackle. So 9 seconds left, and here comes Lansford, and they'll spot it down at about the 40. He's kicked this season a 47-yarder for his longest of the year, and then a 52-yarder, the longest of his career.
One thing about when you attempt a long field goal, the trajectory coming off your foot is a little lower than it would be if you were in closer, when you can just naturally get it up much more quickly. And that, combined with the Bears' tremendous rush, the pressure they put on both punters and field goal kickers, this could be very interesting as the crowd is on its feet.
Dills holding. It is long enough and good. With 4 seconds remaining on the clock. And in Soldier Field, where the winds swirl and where kickers have a lot of trouble normally, the flags gently waving in the breeze tonight. And the Rams are on their way to gently waving to a 1.5 game margin over San Francisco and Atlanta.
You see the smoke coming out of that collar? Not a well-played football game by either team, but it's a typical game. They both have superb defenses. And Lansford comes through in the clutch. Dills, the holder, kept the head down. Dead solid perfect.
What odds do you think you could have gotten on the Rams beating the Super Bowl champion Bears on a night when the quarterback goes 6 out of 25?
Only if you were playing the Rams.
Right. It's been that way, though, all season long for both these teams. Close games for the most part, especially for the Bears of late and all season for the Rams.
Makes you wonder about the Bears, though, Al. 2 weeks ago, they lose to Minnesota 23-7. Same people, except their quarterback, and he has been unavailable, Jim McMahon. This would have been an entirely different game, I feel, had McMahon been able to play, and I think everyone feels the same that follows the Bears. He just changes gears for the Chicago Bears. There he is. His team reacts to just about everything he does. He is their leader. There's no question about that. There's an interesting relationship between Mike Ditka, who admires his talent, and yet there's almost an adversarial thing that exists between the two of them. Interesting football team, and this Ram football team, they're not pretty. They get criticized even at home. They call it their offense, as one writer wrote out on the West Coast, is like a Marcel Marceau radio broadcast.
Lansford to kick off. He beat San Francisco earlier this season with 2 seconds left, kicked an 18-yarder, and tonight a couple of field goals, some key plays for the Rams. That Leroy Irvin 22-yard return of a fumble, the 65-yard pass to Ron Brown on the blitz as they read it perfectly, and a little volleyball and rugby type action here as the ball winds up in the hands of Sanders, but he's going to go down, and for the Rams it'll be a little celebrating on a late night trip into New Orleans.
7-2, and they have a game-and-a-half lead over San Francisco and Atlanta. The Bears, they are respectable. They move back to the 7-2 mark. Not pretty, but very effective for Los Angeles.
Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, that's the story from Chicago, where the Rams beat the Bears 20-17, and this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to test drive a new Go Anywhere Nissan Pathfinder at your Nissan dealer now. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Radio Shack, computer centers in business for business. And by Magnavox, developing new technologies for your entertainment. Nobody puts it together like Magnavox. There's Lansford. Travel arrangements made through, promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. And this has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
So, here's the problem, right? It's Friday night. You're out with your friends. You want to party. You want to laugh. You want to have a good time. And someone breaks out the cocaine or the crack or the marijuana, and they pass it to you. What do? Here's what you do. You say no. You walk away, get up, go do something else. Say no. You're a lot smarter than that. You're a lot hipper than that. Drugs aren't cool. Walk away. Say no to drugs.